Hey, Yuki Bandit. So here we are with Sloop John B. Slightly different version than we've done before. We did previously we've done this in the key of C, and it sounds okay. It's easy to play, that's for sure. But the original one has got some lovely singing, lovely harmonies. And something we discussed was when you're learning the song on the ukulele, obviously the easy songs are the ones that are in key of C. They're the easiest to play. They're the first chords you learn, and then you want to really venture out really more into the key of G and try and stick to as many of the original keys for some of these songs as possible. And the reason why is because you can sing and practice along with them. And if you're familiar to them and your audience is familiar to those songs and they're really big songs that are really popular, then they're going to be used to singing in that key and singing with those versions. So if you're playing and practicing those versions, it makes it easier for your audience and easier for yourself. And I certainly think that this one is quite a nice one to play as well in the key of G. It's not as difficult as it seems at first. So what we're going to do is just going to go through just that main progression, which is just repeated throughout. So in the intro, this progression, we've got G, the C, G, the C, G, the D7, the G, G7, C, A minor, G, D7 and G, or it finishes I want to go home. That progression there, the whole of that intro is just repeated for each chorus and verse anyway. So if we look at the chords you need to know are these. And we've got G, which you should know from your C, F and G. We've got a G7, which you can just keep on playing the G. If you struggle getting from the G to the G7, you can stick with just playing on the G. So when we're in the group, obviously you don't feel pressured to be able to play all the chords. If you can play the main chords that you see, and any of those quick changes will take a bit of practice. The D7, there's two versions. So the version where the proper version, if you like, where you've got a bar it, which is you lay the first finger right across the second fret and you're putting that second finger there. It's the one that's highlighted here, D7, and that second finger will be on that A string, obviously on the third fret. But you've got the Hawaiian D7, which some of you are familiar to, which is an alternate way. It's similar notes, so that's why it sounds okay, it sounds good. It's got the notes that we need from D7. So this is literally, this is a really good way of doing it from G as well. So if we take our G chord, you can see that the first and the second finger are on the third and the first string. Well, if you just move them up one string, they're now on the fourth and the second string. And so if you take that third finger off your G, so the third finger on the third fret off, and then move them up, we've now got our D7, Hawaiian D7 chord, which is perfectly acceptable and fine for this song, and most songs have a D7 in it. So that will work really easy. So that saves you having the bar, but if you can bar, do the bar. It's nice to have a few variations in the group. And then we've got C, which you should know, and A minor, which you should know. So really there's nothing apart from the bar D7 if you choose to do it. Actually all the other chords are really easy, so it's an easy key to play in. Now the thing is, it's capo on the first fret for the reason that they sing it in a G sharp. And so sharp is when we take up the note from G. If we go up one fret from G, all the chords would become sharp. So G would be G sharp, D would be D sharp, C would be C sharp, A would be A sharp. So the idea is that we're going to be playing with a capo on the first fret and just playing in the key of G, and that enables us to play all those sharp chords that they use in the original song. So, and if you put on the YouTube video for Sloop John B, you'll be able to play along with the song and practicing in it and working on the harmonies, and it's brilliant because it's teaching you how to keep in time with it. And so that would be a really good one to work on. So I'm just going to go through that first section. You can always pause and rewind and go over those chords if you're not too sure. We're going to play the intro, the Sloop John B chords, and it starts with the G, and I like playing the rhythm of the words, and this is how it sounds. So it's a down, up, down, down, down. We come on the Sloop John B. You can see it matches perfectly to those words. Down, up, down, down, down. But if you're struggling with that rhythm and you can't get it and you're playing in the group, it's really easy. It just keeps the B. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. So you just keep the downbeat. You can always, over time, fill the down with a down up. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. So you can throw the ups and downs in as you wish. Down, up, down, down, down. And what you've got for the C bit is down, up, down, and then the C comes in on that second to last down, and then back to the last down of that section on the G. So it goes down, up, down, C for a down, G for a down. We come on the sloop jumpy, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam, moving all night, got into a fight, well I feel so broken, I wanna go home. So I'm kind of trying to keep it as simple as possible and stick to it, but I have this habit of kind of putting in something naturally, and that's usually just the extra little up or down where it just feels natural, and that will come if you just focus on keeping the beat with the down and move your hand to the downbeat. So you could do it easily like this: we come on the sloop jumpy, so I'm ignoring the C's, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did D7 roam, drinking all night, got into a fight, well I feel so broken, I wanna go home. So you see, I'm just keeping to the straight down beats there, nothing too strenuous, and that would be the easiest way of doing it. So I just go through the G. You can put the C change in if you feel confident with it and you know where it goes, but if you're struggling, you can ignore those quick little C's quite easy. And another little trick is lifting off the G. Come on the sloop jumpy, so you could just lift it off. This is a C6, by the way. It's a version of C. It's very similar to the C chord. We come on the sloop jumpy, with grandfather and me. So that's a good way of practicing it without actually doing another chord. You just lift your fingers off. It's a lovely thing to add in to any chord progression where you're playing notes around those open notes, or playing chords rather around those open notes. The D7 obviously was just moving those two fingers up. I kept it, I like playing the bar, but I wanted to demonstrate using the Hawaiian D7, so that's the D7 there. And then the drinking all night, and then obviously this is a little bit tricky for some people, switching your fingers around, because you've got to move your fingers from the G to the first finger being on that first fret. I'll try and put it in position you can see it. First fret on that second string E, and then shifting those back round. So you've got to shift your fingers around like that to get the D7. I did show someone a little trick where you can do G to G7. G, G7 with the little finger basically on the third fret. There's a G, and if you take that little finger off, so in other words, you finger the G7 chord, put your little finger on the third fret, and you got G. That really works kind of the other way around. If you're going from G7 to G, it makes it easier, because you'll be doing that already, and then you just add that on. Because we're going G to G7, the natural thing is to do the proper G chord, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I've got to do it. You know, you don't want to be trying to then put your little finger in. So just work on getting the G and the switch. If you practice it enough, it will be easy. You just got to keep doing it over and over again. And this is a song where it happens a lot. It's not a fast song, so it's a perfect song to practice that particular technique, getting from the G to the G7. Apart from that, it's pretty straightforward. You've got your C to your A minor, and then the G up to the D7, G. You could even just play one strum on every change. We come on the sloop jumpy, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam, drinking all night, got into a fight, well I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So there you go. It's actually a very good song to practice, and because we're learning to do like the singing with harmonies and that sort of thing, we need a reference, and using that original track would be ideal. Okay, so the last thing really to look at is when you're doing the singing is the pitching. So you could just, whereas before we were doing it in C and everyone was either singing really low or really high, and it was okay. It wasn't like terrible, but it could be better. And now we've got the track to practice with, and we can sing with that. We can pick certain parts And there's a few singers there that sing low, and there's a few singers that sing high. So even if you're not a great singer, as someone pointed out to me last week, you get what you get. You know, your voice is your voice. I kind of understand that. And you know, if you're not like the world's best singer, which I definitely am not, then I just practice at a pitch where I know I'm comfortable until I feel it's presentable. So we've got the lower range. We come on the sloop John B, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam. So I'm just keeping it all low. Drinking all night, got into a fight. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. But it's just fine. That's all. It's not perfect, but it's low. It's nice and low in pitch. It's almost just talking it. We come on the sloop John B, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam. But it's comfortable. Drinking all night, got into a fight. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go. Wanna go home. Anyway, you get the idea. So the next step would be to then take it that register higher. We come on the sloop John B, which is what I'm hearing that main vocal male part at. And if you can get there as a male, that's brilliant. You can hit that one. I'm not sure I want to go there with the ladies' vocals, but I will try it. We come on the sloop John B, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam. Drinking all night, got into a fight. When I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. That would be, I say, like, you know, that higher register there. And so there's kind of like the three demonstrations. One really simple, almost talking it at a normal level, just trying to keep it in pitch around G. And then the other one, which is like that middle register, and then around the middle C area, and then you've got that higher area, which if you can do it, great. And you can always put your harmonies on it. So if you hear a harmony, or you pick out a particular harmony in the song, because there are several parts in the track where they come in with higher and lower, and even a third on top of that, which I'm not going to go into here. I don't think that's necessary, but if you hear that and you're singing that and you feel comfortable with it, then you can throw that harmony on top. Okay, so there's a little bit of explanation for the Sloop John B. I'm going to do a playthrough in just a sec. Okay, so I'm going to do a play along now, key of G, with all the obviously examples I've just given, the same chords and rhythm, etc. Just to give you a play along so you can practice with me, or at least see how it goes with those examples strung together. Here we go. We come on the Sloop John B, the grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did roam. The drinking all night, got into a fight. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home, yeah, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. The first mate, he got drunk, broke in the captain's trunk. Constable had to come and take him away. The Sheriff John Stone, why'd you leave me alone? Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home, yeah, yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. The poor cookie caught the fits, threw away all of my grits. Then he took and ate all of my corn. Let me go home, won't you let me go home? This is the worst trip I've ever been on. So hoist up the jumpy sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home, yeah, yeah. Well, I feel so broken, I wanna go home. And it was just that little bit at the bottom. The play slowly was just out of sight, but I kind of remembered it. And that's a good lesson, really. Try and always remember the intro and the outro, or at least nail the chorus. Because then if something like that happens where the sheet blows off the stand, you can't see it, the sun's on it, you've gone blank. If you've honed it in and practiced, especially the ending, the outro, you should be able to just do it without thinking. Therefore, you're not going to sweat so much. So that's a good example, I guess. Anyway, I hope that helped, and I will see you soon.